Story 1. A killer who murdered for no reason. Now, to understand young Xinhai, you have to forget the idea that every killer has a reason. Yang didn't kill for money. He didn't kill out of anger. And he didn't kill because of some twisted ideology. He killed because he wanted to see what it felt like. Yang grew up poor, drifting from place to place, never standing out. And that was his greatest advantage. He blended in. He became invisible. His victims were people no one was looking for: the homeless, the poor, those living on the margins. When they disappeared, there were no headlines, no investigations, just silence. Yang moved constantly, never staying in one place long enough to raise suspicion. Each murder was separate, no pattern, no signature. And when investigators later asked him why he did it, Yang gave an answer that chilled everyone in the room. "I didn't see them as people." There was no emotion in his voice, no attempt to justify himself. He wasn't bragging. He was stating a fact, as far as he was concerned. Some of his actions crossed even darker lines, not out of hunger, not as ritual, but as a way to test how far he could go, to see if there was any limit left to cross. For years, Yang went unnoticed, until one mistake, one failed attack, one moment where the silence broke. When he was finally arrested, Yang didn't resist. He didn't deny anything. He simply started talking. As the number of victims grew, so did the realization of what they were dealing with. At his sentencing, Yang showed no reaction, no fear, no regret. Because for him, what he had done wasn't evil. It was an experience. And that may be the most unsettling part of all. Sometimes, the scariest monsters aren't driven by hate, but by emptiness. Story 2. When a person decides to eat themselves. Most dark stories follow a familiar pattern. There's a victim, there's a crime, and there's a clear line that someone crosses. Mao Sugiyama's story doesn't follow that pattern. No one was attacked, no one was killed, and no one was forced to do anything. And that's exactly why this story is so unsettling. Sugiyama was a young man living in Japan, a society built on order and unspoken rules. He wasn't violent, he wasn't hiding, he wasn't running from anything. What made him different was the way he viewed the human body, including his own. After a legal, voluntary medical procedure, Sugiyama asked to keep a part of his body that would normally be discarded. There was no law stopping him. So he took it home. He preserved it. He prepared it. And then he made a decision that shocked the world. He invited others to consume it. This wasn't done in secret. It wasn't impulsive. It wasn't an act of desperation. It was planned, announced, and fully consensual. Sugiyama spoke about the experience calmly, almost clinically, as if he were describing an experiment rather than something that made millions recoil. When authorities investigated, they ran into an impossible problem. There was no victim, no violence, no crime they could clearly define. Legally, nothing had been broken. Public outrage exploded, not because of what the law said, but because of what it didn't. If someone owns their body completely, where does society draw the line? And if the law allows something, does that make it acceptable? Sugiyama didn't see himself as a monster. He didn't apologize. He didn't retreat. He simply exposed a truth most people would rather ignore. Sometimes the most disturbing acts aren't driven by hatred or rage, but by detachment. And once that detachment exists, the line between human and object becomes dangerously thin. Story 3. The cannibal will become stronger. To understand Alexander Bychkov, you have to understand one dangerous idea: the belief that the world is divided into predators and prey. Bychkov grew up in poverty, surrounded by violence and neglect. From a young age, he felt weak, overlooked, insignificant, and instead of trying to escape that reality, he redefined it. In his mind, power didn't come from education or hard work. It came from taking. He targeted people no one would miss: the homeless, the addicted, the invisible. He approached them with fake kindness, offering drinks, conversation, a sense of belonging. But for Bychkov, this wasn't connection. It was hunting. What makes this case truly unsettling isn't the violence itself, but the belief system behind it. Bychkov convinced himself that consuming human flesh would make him stronger, smarter, more complete. This wasn't a cultural ritual. It wasn't desperation. It was a personal philosophy. He documented his thoughts, writing as if he were tracking progress. Victims became resources. Murders became milestones. And the most disturbing part? He believed every word. When investigators questioned him, Bychkov didn't panic. He didn't deny anything. He spoke calmly, explaining his actions as if he were presenting a theory. He didn't see himself as evil. He saw himself as enlightened. And that's the lesson his story leaves behind. Sometimes the most dangerous monsters aren't driven by rage or hatred, but by belief. Because once someone truly believes they are a predator, everyone else becomes prey. 3 stories, 3 people, 3 different ways to cross the final line of humanity. One killer who felt nothing at all. One man who turned his own body into a legal experiment. And one who believed that consuming others would make him stronger. Because deep down, there's a part of human nature that never truly disappears. The question is, if it ever wakes up, would you be the angel or the monster? Let me know in the comments which story stayed with you the most. If you want more real cases like these, told slowly and without filters, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This is Dark File, where the darkest human records are finally brought into the light.